Hi guys, this is Niki Rowland for Shimmerz Paints, and today I'm making a layout using the fabulous Sun and Clouds cut file by Paige Evans, which was part of one of the colour kits that has been out recently. So this is designed by Paige Evans. So I've cut it on a piece of Vicki Boutin pattern paper, and I really couldn't decide whether I wanted to use the negative or the positive. So I also cut a white circle to go behind the cut file itself, so I cut a circle exactly the same, yeah, so I just couldn't work out what I was going to do. So basically I was a little bit missing on the negative, so I was worried that if I tried to use a negative it wouldn't look right. So I kind of play around for a bit and see what works and what doesn't work, and then eventually I decide to use the negative, and therefore I'm currently sticking, you can see, all of these pieces that's still on my cutting mat back inside the cut file. And then the idea is that I will remove the cut file completely and be just left with the negative pieces stuck onto that circle. So this is a bit of a labour of love because I'm raising every single one up on foam pads, but it's well worth the effort. It looks great, it's a great technique, and I'm using the original cut file as the stencil or as a guide as to where to stick everything back in. So while I'm doing this, the whole time I have this feeling like, oh no, this isn't going to work out, it's going to look terrible, and that's because I was missing some of the negative pieces. So I don't know what happened, they got ripped or they came off my mat and got lost or whatever, but I definitely don't have them. I don't know what happened to them. There's just a few bits, the most notable being that hole that you can see there in between the clouds. So I initially thought, well, I can just stick in all the clouds and not worry about all the other pieces. And then I decided to stick in all the sunbeams and the sun in the middle. So I just decided to go for it, and then you'll see how I deal with the fact that I've got some missing pieces in a bit. Right, okay, this video should fast forward in a moment to for the reveal. There we go. So this is what I do. So you can see where my bits are missing. That one is the biggest one. There's also a smaller one down on the right hand side, and some other small bits and pieces, and the loops as well, particularly the loops. So I'm going in with a pen, just a fine line pen. It's grey, not black, so it's lighter version of black, because I thought black might be too harsh, and I've just gone round and I've drawn in those bits that are missing. So now I'm peeling it off, and I'll be able to see in a second how good or bad this looks. So it's like a moment of truth. I was really worried the whole time, and yay, it looks great. I love it. I do love how it looks. But obviously I've still got those pieces, even though I've drawn those in, they look a bit odd because they're the wrong colour, they're white. So I'm just grabbing a paintbrush and I am painting in the little pieces with Boogie Boardin blue, I think it is, the colour. Yeah, so that one is the most notable, but then I'm also going and doing all of the teeny tiny loops as well. Now, as with most mixed media layouts and cut file layouts, of course, half of the cut file, the background, gets covered up. So I am going to end up covering up half of the clouds, or most of the clouds. So I spent so much time worrying about how my cut file would look, and then I covered up the tricky areas anyway. But hey ho, that's how it goes sometimes, right? So I stuck the sun in the middle and then decided that I didn't want that there. I thought it would look really good to paint it a different colour. So it was very blue at the moment, it's all very blue. And I thought if I take that off, and I had to then remove all the residue that my foam has left. And now I'm drawing around it with that grey pen again, and I'm going to colour that a different colour. So I'm going to go for a peachy colour. So the one that I've gone for is called Good Old Summertime, I believe. Let me just check that. Oh, no, I'm totally wrong. It's Coral Reef. I said Good Old Summertime because that is one of my favourite Shimmerz colours. I go to it all the time. But no, I've gone outside of my comfort zone, and I've actually gone for Coral Reef, which is an Inklingz. So you can see all my colours that I've got lined up there. I have already put in some water and let them sit for a bit. So they're all Inklingz or Creameez colours. And yeah, Okay, so now I'm ready to kind of move on from this layout. So my cut file is prepared. Obviously I need to add more to the layout, but my cut file's prepared and ready to go. So now I've got to do a bit more. So I've decided that I would like some mixed media in the background. I've just lightly drawn a circle around the edge of my cut file, and then I've rubbed it out, and I can still roughly see where the line is. So therefore now I can put some packaging. I can now put some Shimmerz paints around the edge of the circle, so they will shine out from behind the cut file. And I have my rubbed out pencil line, and I can still just about see as a guide, but it means that if I rub it out before I put my paint down, it means that it will actually mostly disappear, whereas if I try to rub it out after my paint is dry, it won't rub out at all because it's underneath the paint. So I'm just adding my colours using the packaging technique, and my colours are, I've got two peachy colours there you can see, and I've got two of them there, Bahama Mama Inklingz, Coral Reef Inklingz, and then I've got the darker blue, which is Boogie Boardin blue, and originally I had two greens out, so I think it was Jolly Green Giant and Freshly Minted, and I decided that they didn't go with the rest of my layout, so I moved them to one side. However, now that I've got this background down, the blue seemed a little harsh in between all the pinks, so I've brought those colours back in and applied some, it's actually only the Freshly Minted one that I use, so the green one I can get rid of, but the Freshly Minted one I did use either side of the darker blue, the Boogie Boardin blue. Okay, and then I went over and added a load of splatters as well when it was a little bit dry, and my paper's warped a bit, but it's not too bad, so I was just trying to curl it back in the right direction. Okay, so my background's done, my cut file's done, and now I can start adding my photos and start to add lots of embellishments, because I do love lots and lots of embellishments. So I'm just mounting my photo on a couple of Project Life cards. I had a few left over from a kit, and I've just distressed the edges of all of those. I did try there to put a 6x4 card behind my two photos, but it didn't really work. I didn't like the angle that it looked. So I've just gone to I've mounted them individually. So you keep seeing other people's hands in my filming. This is a funny story. I'm at Crop, so my local Crop that I run, and I'm sat next to a friend who just can't help touching my stuff, and every time she did this, I was like, oh Steph, you're in my film again. So this is the hazards of filming at Crop. So hi Steph, I did say I would give her a shout out because she literally did it all day long, and she apologised all day long to me as well. It was really quite funny. It definitely became a running joke at the end of the day. Anyway, back to my layout. So I'm still mounting my photos and fiddling around with placement. I want a few bits and pieces sticking out from behind my photos. So that big Vicki Boutin flower, I liked the dark pink. I have some dark blue papers in there as well. I have a Pink Fresh Studio paperclip there too. So I'm just getting all of these bits stuck in place. I use a lot of foam pads to mount my photos, and this is because I like my layout to have lots of dimension and different levels. So I tend to raise up the top half of my photos and not the bottom half. I like to stick the bottom half of my photo flat so that I have a flatter area in which to embellish across the bottom of my photos, which I do quite a lot. And I only ever add my adhesive kind of in the middle of my photos. So I do a strip at the bottom, but I don't go all the way to the edge. And I have my foam pads at the top as well, but again, I don't go all the way to the edge. And that's because I like to tuck bits in behind my photos, and I tend to do that a lot. After I've set my photos down, I'm then like, oh, I'd like to add more. So by doing it that way, it means I can prise things off again if I need to, or I can just tuck bits under. Okay, so these are a couple of dots from Shimmerz. So I have added two. One says love your face, and the other one says Happy Day. The white one says Happy Day. So I've also found these clouds by Bramble Fox, and they're acrylic, and aren't they just the perfect shape for those clouds by Paige at the bottom? They're just so similar. So I have added those 2 clouds plus a more traditional one at the top, which is kind of like a frosty colour. And now I'm just going through some Vicki Boutin stickers and getting everything stuck down. So I really like the pop of dark navy behind my photos, so I'm going with that, and I'm also adding in some black bits here and there. I think it works really well. It makes the layout kind of feel more dramatic, I suppose. I just love the way it makes it pop off the page. Everything kind of pops when there's black on a layout, so I'm really enjoying using black at the moment. So I'm just pulling out a few bits and pieces there. I've added in some stickers. I'm getting everything stuck down right now. So I added the large arrow and a bird. We were outside, so birds are fair game in my rules. And I don't like birds generally. I really can't stand them. I don't know why. They're fine in the sky, but they just don't seem to work for me ever on my scrapbook layouts. It's one of my quirks, and I just can't deal with birds. They're always the last embellishment left on the embellishment sheet when I'm done with something. The birds I always really struggle to use for some reason. I have no idea why. I say I have nothing against birds generally. It just for some reason I really struggle to use them. So anyway, my new rule is that if my photos are outdoors, then birds are fair game. So yeah, I've squeezed in a bird down setting on my arrow down to the bottom left there. So yay, a bird. Okay, so I'm just coming in now with some twiddles of thread. Pretty much everything is stuck down now, nearly kind of stuck in place. And I'm just, really fiddling around, making everything look good. So I'm just adding in bits and pieces wherever I can. I love to add colour and different colours, so basically I'm aiming for similar tones to what's in my cut file background and the mixed media background with all the Shimmerz paints. So I like to add things that are similar in tone, but perhaps darker or lighter colours. So the deeper pink is really makes things pop. I like that down the bottom, that sticker that says Escape the Ordinary, that's kind of watercolory, and we've got a blue one, a pink one, and orange, but orange doesn't quite go, but it's kind of almost peach, so hey, it's fine. But yeah, so I like to bring in other colours as well as the ones that's just in my background. But okay, so I'm just getting everything stuck in place again now. So I've found these some of the little chipboard stars by Vicki Boutin. I've just given them some extra adhesive there because they are chipboard, and chipboard things have a habit of falling off. I'm thinking about what my title will be. Here we go. I've put my title down now. Sorry, the filming cut out unfortunately, so we missed putting that down. But the title is Daisy Trouble, and that is because when we were out, we were watching Sports Day actually, and my little baby, who is nearly a year, was kind of 10 months at the time, he was just, I put him on the floor and he just ate handfuls of grass, and I actually fished out an entire daisy from his mouth. So that is what this layout is about. I will journal that onto the layout as well, but you won't be able to read that from here, so I thought I would explain my rather odd title. And I'm just sticking down some sequins now. So I scattered some sequins. They're called Rose Gold Glory by Spiegelmum Scraps, of course, and they're so pretty, so pretty. So I've just made a vertical line of those from top to bottom in those in that set of sequins, and I'm using glossy accents to stick those in place. I've just put a bit of glossy accents on the end of a paper piercing tool, move the sequin out of the way, and then put a bit of glue down, and then add the sequin back in. So yeah, so here I am writing in my journaling. So I'm using a black gel pen to write it in. People keep talking to me, which is why I keep stopping my my writing. So hi everyone at Crop. So anyway, it takes me a lot longer to write my journaling than it would do normally, because yeah, everyone kept talking to me, so I had to stop writing every time someone spoke to me or asked me a question. So yeah, the perils of filming at crop, hey. So yes, I've written my journaling around the edge, and I've written my date in the middle, and that is me done. Okay, so I had a great time making this layout today with the fantastic cut file, and also obviously my Shimmerz paints. So thank you so much for joining me today. That was Niki Rowland for Shimmerz Paints, and don't forget that if you place an order via the Shimmerz Paints store, put my name in the comments and you will get a freebie. Happy scrapping!